You're watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the May 9th meeting of LaPorte County Parks and Recreation Board. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Ready for it. Okay, I'd like to call the Park Board meeting to order this May 9th, 2023. Can we have a roll call?
Are we going to do the pledge first?
I have to do that after the roll call.
Oh, okay, after?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so Amanda? Here. Jim? Aaron? Here. Mike?
Here.
Mary? Here. Ron?
Here.
And Mary now.
Let's stand and we're going to do the pledge. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Everybody get a chance to look at the agenda?
I did have a couple of additions from what was advertised. So under new business, they're already put on your agenda, so under new business, I wanted to add the resolution 1601 to adopt the 2023-27 master plan. And then also, the last item under new business would be consider tearing down a dilapidated 1972 Department of Corrections shelter at Redmond. Should be already on your agendas, but I just wanted to state that because it was not advertised.
Okay. Any questions about the agenda? Hearing none, can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Approval of the minutes. Any questions about the minutes from the previous meeting? Hearing no questions or comments, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I will.
And a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Any questions about the financial reports?
Just wanted to mention, obviously we always talk about how we start to see those dwindle down pretty quickly. The one that's a little bit concerning to me this year already is the equipment repairs. If you look at that, it's already down to $56. So we had a pretty large repair on my vehicle that the front suspension basically had some major issues with it, and then also the air conditioning had gone out. So took quite a big chunk of our equipment repair. So
They didn't just give you a little fan?
right. Well, I didn't figure that I would want to go to meetings also. Well, and our new naturalists are going to be borrowing that new equipment. So I didn't figure they wanted to go to some training. But anyway, we can, that vehicle and the van are slated to get a replacement through a grant, but it's going to be another year. So we got to keep them running, obviously. So, but we'll be okay. If I have to, I'll probably let my liaison know. We'll see what we need to do if we have to ask for some money, and we can pay for some of that out.
Okay. Keep us informed, and you're always good at that anyway, so. Can I have a motion to accept the financial report as written?
So moved.
And a second?
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. Jeremy?
So under the administrative report, update on hiring, I've got a few, we actually are at full staff. We've got everybody hired. When has anybody been on this board in May? And we said we were having full staff hiring. So, and some of you have been there a long time, so. I don't know if it was the raise in pay that did it, or if it just happened to be a good year for that, right? So we did have two seasonal maintenance people come back, and we got two new ones. Our gardener is kind of doing double duty, partially in the office and partially doing gardening. So that'll be good too. So cross our fingers that this last person that we're putting through the hiring process does everything and is able to get that done, so. New staff introductions, I just got new full-time staff. I think almost half of our staff is pretty much new already, so I wanted to introduce them and have them come up. So I'll start with John Hardigan. You can come up and if you would just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and that kind of thing.
I'm John Hardigan. I came from the maintenance department over at the courthouses, and I work full-time maintenance now here at the parks. I'm mainly out at Creek Ridge, so whenever something comes up, I go out to other places also.
Well, John had some good experience, good park experience even before this, so worked out really, he's working out really well, so.
Glad you're here.
Secondly, I'll start with, go to Kara Fitzgerald. She's our new, I'll call her our new Laura, recreation and programmer, so go ahead, Kara.
Hi everyone, my name is Kara Fitzgerald. I was working out in Washington for about the past 5 years doing different guiding out there, did everything from wine and paint indoors to mountaineering outside, so went in a wide range in between. I came back to Indiana, originally from Indiana, so nice to be back home. And then before I came here, I was working with St. Joseph County Parks and Rec. And now I'm here.
And lastly, April Messicar is our new Nikki, our new chief naturalist. So.
I am April Messicar. I'm the new chief naturalist for LaPorte County Parks, and before that I was a teacher, and then before that worked at the local zoos, Washington Park and Potawatomi Museum, and then I was out in Illinois as the education coordinator for Max McGraw Wildlife Foundation. I learned a lot out there, helped them with some coyote research, and then before that I graduated at IU. My degree is in outdoor recreation and resource management. So I'm loving my job. It's been amazing, and I look forward to continuing
Both Kara and April graduated from IU, got the recreation program, so we interviewed both of them for the chief naturalist job, and the other one was opening up soon, and I kind of latched on to Kara there and said, worked with HR to say, can we get this done? Well, I advertised the other one as well. But nobody else really applied for it, so but yeah, two really good candidates, and they're good. And in the middle of the 5th grade field days this week, and then next week they'll do some around in McCormick Street for some training. And but yeah, if you'll see the naturally speaking, I say I will be the naturally speaking. There's lots of good programs coming up, and hopefully we're going to get some full programs going. Other items on there, I just wanted to highlight that we got a plan to reseal and repair asphalt in almost all the parking lots and trails. The county council gave us approved funds to do that out of the money. So we're going to be, as soon as I can get it rolled back and get the ball rolling on that, and the weather's right, now that it's warming up. It has to be a little longer to do that, so. And then status on the new restrooms at Creek Ridge is we're almost, they're just finalizing the septic plan, and once we get that plan done, we'll submit that to the county for approval. And then the building plan is downstate, and I would assume that one's really close to being done as well, so as soon as we can get those two approvals, will move on to the county building approvals, building department's approvals, and get the ball rolling on that. So Don's anxious to get supplies and everything ready to make sure we gotta have those approvals first. So. Maintenance crews, been, basically holding down the fort to get these seasonals here, and we're just now, we're up to 3 seasonal, seasonals right now, so we got one more coming in, but it's really gonna start opening up, and they're starting to make those repairs that we've been, putting off all winter and things like that, so, but they're working hard to make it ready, and with this nice weather, that people are really coming out.
Sure.
That's all I got.
Okay. Any questions on any of the other reports there? Okay. Standing committees. Executive committee does not have a report. Budget committee? Personnel committee? Property committee?
Yeah, I would just say that the appraisers have been out, or an appraiser has been out. The landowner wasn't real happy with the appraisal, but there's still a way we're working on trying to get it done. He wants this to happen, and he's, there's just some things about it that he wasn't real happy with. And so he's actually hiring an appraiser and gonna see what their appraiser says, and hopefully the DNR's, we can work this all out. And I still think it's very likely that it's gonna happen. It's just, there's a few things there that you just need to make sure that he's happy and we're happy and that kind of thing,
So does he have a time frame as far as when he's going to?
I think his appraiser said she'd have it done pretty quickly, so I think they'll probably have it done within a week or two, and then they'll meet with the DNR again and try to talk that out and then see if that's gonna work out somehow, so.
Planning committee?
Nope.
Rules committee?
Yeah, and I just threw that under there, as far as the smoking in the parks discussion, hasn't really been a lot of discussion yet. I sent an email out, everybody's kind of aware of what we're talking about, but Greg's here and he's gonna talk here in a few minutes about what he does and what he's working on and those kind of things. And discuss that.
Okay. Any old business? I think you're in that category at this point. So we'll move right on to new business. We want to do we're going to do the smoking ban. We'll talk about that in a little discussion, so.
Come on, Greg.
So I'm Greg Coulter. I work with Healthy Communities of LaPorte County. We're a public health nonprofit, and my job is to do anything related to reducing the impact of tobacco in LaPorte County. So one way that's looking this week is that I'm helping with 5th grade field days, presenting on recycling and just the concept that vaping and cigarette products, tobacco products, are bad for the environment, whether it's cigarette butts or vape pods getting picked up as litter and ending up in an animal's stomach. Or just all the way down to just the poor quality of air from somebody using a cigarette. For example, in the playground, that's a bad spot. And maybe there's a grandma that's having a cigarette watching her kid, but she's right beside another mom and some kids playing around trying to have a good day. So by doing a partial ban or even a total ban on smoking in a park, in Michigan City there's a total ban in 3 parks. Patriot Park, Regina Park, and I think Adams is the one I just read. So in those parks you can't smoke at all, but other parks in Michigan City you can, so that's another alternative. It's just different levels that this policy could look if you decided to go forward with it. So a policy would of course be different from ordinance. An ordinance would allow park staff or somebody else to ticket somebody for smoking. A policy would just be a sign saying there's no smoking here, and then relatively volunteer enforcement of that. And that could be just around playgrounds, it could be playgrounds and patios and pavilions, or go all the way and just say anywhere that the parks, the county parks are at, is a non-smoking facility, and no smoking is appreciated there. Jeremy, do you want me to add anything to that?
No, I think, everybody was aware that this was being kind of discussed, and I think, I think there's probably some things we need to talk about internally as far as what we would or wouldn't do, and maybe.
So with the parks that have the total park ban, did they just say point A
no smoking, or did they phase it in where they had, we're gonna restrict these areas now, and then we'll restrict these areas, and then total ban? Or did they just go ahead and say, we're done?
From the park I'm more familiar, the park system I'm more familiar with recently that has done it would be Plymouth, and they just overnight said no more smoking here.
Okay.
And then they did a phase in the signs. I'm not familiar with how Michigan City did it, whether or not there was one before there was the total ban, or if we're maybe like mentally thinking that we might be halfway through them adding some more parks, which would be ideal.
Do you know how the compliance is at Plymouth, or have you talked to anybody on it?
I haven't heard anything about compliance in Plymouth. That's relatively recent. They switched over a few months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But one of the nice things too is that having been at Rural Park all day and then here for a minute, you don't find a lot of cigarette butts on the ground. So we know that this isn't really somewhere that people come to smoke, which is great. But it's also means that why would it be worth the hassle to go through that process of becoming a smoke-free place? One is just it starts that conversation for other parks departments as well. It keeps it going. So it puts the fire under LaPorte, Michigan City, and Westville and other park systems to consider becoming smoke-free. But it also just has, when a kid sees somebody smoking, it sends one message, but when a kid sees a sign that says no smoking here, it sends the opposite message. So it provides one more opportunity to help people quit smoking. And we know that in LaPorte County, about 3 out of 10 adults use tobacco products daily, which is double the national average. So finding ways to work against that trend is why I'm here.
Okay.
Well, I could see it at Seabrook Woods that seems like an easy one to have a total ban right away. There's not a lot of traffic there, but there are dry pine trees there. So that might be one place to start.
So I think that we want to go to the rules committee and maybe have a little discussion and maybe look at some other resources that may be out there. If we have public comment from this meeting, that may be a good clue, positive or negative. Folks that see this segment, they may be able to say, yes, let's ban, or, here's some things you might want to consider. So that gives us an opportunity to do a little homework and then make a resolution to see, do we want to just say, put some signs up, or do we want to say, no, we want an ordinance to say no smoking in parks? And I know we have no drinking ordinance, no alcoholic beverages, rather in the park, so that we may be able to use that format to say, yeah, we'll do smoking the same way. Okay. Does that sound like a good direction to go?
Yes.
So since it's on the new business, we want to make a motion? Yes, let's have a motion to investigate the ban of smoking in the park.
So the rules committee, if you want that part of the motion.
Yeah, part of the rules committee, yes.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. That was a pretty easy one. Okay, and now we have a resolution for our master plan. Can you just read that? Yeah, that'd be fine. Okay. So this was sent to us from Craig Blyfus, from the chief planner at the Indiana Department of Natural Resources. And it says the DNR Division of State Parks Planning Staff has reviewed the final draft of the 2023 to 2028 LaPorte County 5-year Parks and Recreation Master Plan. The plan meets the Department of Natural Resources minimum requirements for local parks and recreation master plans. This letter certifies that your community is eligible to apply for Land and Water Conservation Fund grants through this office in the year 2023 grant year. A new plan will be due November 15th, 2028, at which time your current Land and Water Conservation Fund grant application eligibility will expire. If you haven't already, we strongly recommend you contact our grant section chief as soon as possible about future grant applications. The grant staff can assist you in grant application process. They can be reached by phone. They have a phone number, an email address. We support your planning efforts and encourage your participation in the grant programs administered by this Division of State Parks. If you require further information, do not hesitate to call, and they have the same phone number there. And
email address.
So you guys have all, the plan was sent to you minus the appendix, because the appendix is huge and it's basically just information supporting, and it hasn't changed. That's what was sent. They didn't ask us to change anything. Once they got it, they reviewed it and sent us the letter. So, but what they need is the signature page that has everybody's signature on it, and it's in the file. But basically, we need a motion to sign that, and that would approve and adopt our plan.
So moved. Have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I second.
Good job putting that together.
Thank you.
Yes, excellent.
Thank you so much.
And so we can sign that page tonight.
So tonight, and then we'll get you to sign it.
Right, should be right in here. We'll sign it after. I've got a lot of pictures, can sign them all.
Sure.
The last item on the new business is tearing down the 1972 Department of Corrections shelter at Ben Mill. I mean, it's across the way.
Yeah, it's like a mile from here, and a mile from anywhere you can park, so it's not convenient, it's not, I don't know if the Girl Scouts, when they had it, they drove back there or what, but I sent you pictures, it's falling apart, it's dangerous, there's no significance to it other than that it was put up, it was just a shelter that you would have seen along the highways as picnic shelters, like where people take breaks and drive, and the state parks still have some shelters, but basically it's rotting and at this point very dangerous. To rehab it, to me, would be a total waste of money, especially the location it's in. I mean, if it was somewhere we could use it, that'd be one thing, but
It's not.
It was really in bad shape 3 years ago, because I was out 3 years ago and last year when I was out jogging, and it's in pretty bad shape.
Yes.
It hasn't gotten better over time. That entropy thing,
so, just looking for a motion to.
Okay, can I have a motion to tear down the Department of Corrections shelter at Ben Mill?
So,
And a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
aye.
Ayes have it.
And just another thing on that, so the price of that shelter back in 1972, for total cost, they brought it in on a trailer, in pieces, but $817. You couldn't buy one of those beams today for that.
Right.
I mean, literally, they're huge beams. And some of the beams we may actually be able to salvage and try to use for something else, but I mean, $817.
So if anybody's frustrated and feels they have a need to destroy something,
Yeah.
we should have a part in that category just yet, so. Okay. Public comment. Okay, hearing none. Board and staff comments. I'd just like to say we're really happy to have all these people here.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was gonna say similar, I really think, having Nikki and Laura were great. John is a new position, so that's, we had a couple of people in that before him, but, all three of them are showing a lot of promise, and I do think, having the new and fresh ideas and the nature center and the program staff, we miss Nikki and Laura and year on, and I would never say we don't, but, I think we're gonna see that, we'll have new ideas, and some of them will work, some of them won't, just like when they get water and stuff, but I definitely don't want them to get discouraged if they do throw a lot of work into a program and it just doesn't work, or maybe it's because we need to advertise different, or maybe it's, there's a lot of things and we'll work through those, but they're definitely willing to try all kinds of new things, so.
It's terrific.
Yep, so glad to have everybody.
Any other comments?
Oh, yeah, of course. The Bird Festival, you guys said something about birds. So that starts tomorrow, the Dunes Birdie Festival annual thing. There are 700 people coming in from 30 states to our wonderful part of the country to see migrating birds. And I think there might be some county parks that are included in some of the walks.
Very good.
Last thing I'd also like to say is I wanted to thank all of my staff and the board for you all know what I've gone through with my family and extended family over the last several months. And I appreciate your patience, and I appreciate you working with me. I appreciate my staff for taking care of everything without hesitation. I mean, they've been great, and I got new people that I couldn't even really be here to help, answer questions. And, texting is different than being right there with them, but they're doing great. This, naturally speaking, is literally all them. I wasn't standing there. I wasn't around, I couldn't be around. So I said, hey, we need to get this, get a newsletter going and some programs for the summer, and they ran with it and did it. So to have that out of new people that I didn't have to train and wait for them to be trained completely, and it's just great that the way we're all working to make this better. And even without you here, they were on it. So everybody from, all of our staff, Kathy, Don, Boyd, Bob, and the three that are here, it's been great. So thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments? Hearing none, can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All in favor? Meeting adjourned.
Next meeting.
Next